The most heroic word in all languages is revolution. We used to think that revolution is the cause of change. Actually, it's the other way around. Change prepares the ground for revolution. Every business undergoes change. Revenues rise and fall. New product lines are developed. Programs are enhanced. Employees retire and are replaced by younger workers with different attitudes and skill sets. It is how they cope with these changes, both internally and externally, that determines the future success and continued growth, or their decline into irrelevance. To stay relevant, it's not enough for an organization to respond passively to these great changes. In our society or in our economy, they instead must prepare to undergo a fundamental transformation in their operations, their organizational structure, market proposition, and to stay relevant and competitive. But in the race to respond to today's great changes, we often overlook the most important element of transformation, the human factor. Businesses are fundamentally about people, and no true transformation can be considered effective unless it's supported by the right combination of skills and leadership throughout the organization. See, this is the difference between change and transformation. The first is a response to external factors, which, while they may lead to certain short-term benefits, do little to prepare the business for the impact of long-term change. The second, by focusing on human capital, leadership skills, and organizational culture, aims at refashioning a business and providing it with the capability to adapt effectively to whatever the future holds. See, I also believe it's important to recognize that leadership is both a science and an art, meaning that leadership is simultaneously both replicatable and instinctive. I aim to balance both theory and application by walking through 5 steps I have found to be extremely effective in attracting, retaining, and deploying strong classes, and by identifying mistakes leaders commonly make throughout the development process. $61,243. That is our new office average. And I'm here to claim with confidence that we are better than that. As Che Guevara said, at the risk of sounding ridiculous, let me say that a true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love. It's impossible to think of a true revolutionary lacking this quality. This call to action comes from an enormous place of love for all of you in this room, for the great company that we're a part of, and the love I have for all the people that walk through the door to my organization. They say a smart man learns from mistakes, a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. And hindsight is always 20/20. So in the spirit of progress, I felt it necessary to highlight some of the mistakes that I've made or I've observed others make throughout the development process. That being said, don't think that these issues are unique to you. The title of my message is The Development Revolution. And it's my expectation that this message be a catalyst for our management team to challenge the status quo. And that as a team, we examine our processes for pre-summer training and in-summer execution and go on the offensive to improve company revenue, our profit as business owners, and most importantly, that we improve the overall experience for our branch and new district managers. When I think about common mistakes, the first one that comes to mind is not thinking about development early enough in the process. I constantly have conversations with my Dom or what will be my future pilot sales manager about seeing people as they can become and not as they currently are. For a lot of our senior DMs and our division managers, this is instinctive. But I think it's important that we teach this process to our people. I am identifying branch candidates when they are in their interview. And the earlier you keep this process in mind and you start with the end in mind, the bigger the development class is. I notice many times there's very weak promotion. There truly is a lack of desire created and value created versus the perceived level of commitment. Something I say in training and repeat at nearly every group function is that there is nothing that you could do between the ages of 18 and 22 that would impact the 5 to 10 years of your life outside of college graduation more dramatically than having the opportunity to run an office with Cutco. Ultimately, we have to understand that this is a culture obsessed with experiences. People pay money to go bungee jumping and whitewater rafting and mountain climbing and all these crazy things. And that truly is where the sales pitch lies with new office management. It's not the experience. It's not gaining experience, although that will happen as a byproduct. It's taking part in the experience. I noticed that many managers have poor summer engagement, specifically non-summer engagement. And they're operating from a place of need or weakness versus strength and abundance. One of the key, most critical paradigms in my business and in my life is giving every Kanye in the world while simultaneously giving 0 Kanyes. I care so deeply about this person's life, their development, the skill set that they're gonna learn here, the confidence that they'll build, where they go here and afterwards, that I care so deeply in these conversations, while simultaneously I'm able to be completely emotionally detached from the outcome of that interaction. Another big mistake that I see is a lack of parental buy-in. Their son, their daughter is so excited about selling Cutco, and if they're one of your top people, they're probably in the office more than the average rep. And what does the parent view you as? A sleazy salesperson. They have no idea who you are until they meet the big teddy bear that is the DM in that office. We run a handful of parent events, and one thing that we've successfully done is gaining parent buy-in. We run a handful of parent events a year. We run one over winter break, where I'm able to promote the January push. I'm able to promote year-end banquet. We run one pre-summer with our management team and their parents, assistant managers, branch managers, and their parents. And we run one either pre-SC2 or post-SC2. And what happens is you go from having a parent who is constantly skeptical to constantly supportive. We've successfully constructed training processes and implemented programs, engineered culture that has led our organization in South Charlotte to deploy offices that have more than doubled the company new office average over the last 3 years. Using the following 5 themes as our guide, we've successfully increased deployment number and our individual office productivity every summer of the last 3 years. The first of those themes is the idea of becoming a lifelong learner. A leader must be able to learn from anyone. The development revolution starts with our revolution as individuals. Jeff Gamboa constantly talks about circles of influence. People to teach, those to learn with, those to learn from. One thing I've learned coaching with Epic Impact and Ben Skemper is the importance of receiving leadership at all times. Your division manager, your region manager. One of the single most important facets of being a leader is receiving leadership yourself. We constantly talk about the idea of humble and hungry. I don't know if there's an athlete on the planet that embodies this idea better than Tom Brady. And you know what's crazy is this is someone who constantly plays with a chip on their shoulder. That is arguably the best player on the field at any time and works to get better as if he was the very last guy on the roster. Seeking best practices is a critical portion of becoming a lifelong learner. Regardless of your tenure or your experience, being humble enough to look at people doing it better than you and to learn and to dig in and to ask questions. Another facet of becoming this, of embodying this idea of learning from everyone is the difference between being present and being in attendance. All of you are in the room, you're here, you're in attendance, but being engaged, that's a totally different story. You get what you search for in life. It's so funny, you'll take two people sitting in the exact same event and say, hey, what did you think? And it's funny, same event, two completely different reactions. You get what you search for. Ultimately, establishing a standard of personal growth in your organization, it starts with you. The business will never, ever exceed your ability to grow personally. And when I'm learning, I'm always constantly focused on becoming a master of what I do. I'm not running a function to see results. I'm running a function to master the process. And a true master never sees themselves as one. The second theme that we've really rallied behind is the idea of performing. Persevering through failure to find successes. Having a healthy relationship with failure is critical. See, I think the way that most people view it is that they're between failure and success. And if they're moving closer to failure, they're moving further away from what? So what happens is they gain this unhealthy relationship with failure. The way it really looks is that you have to work through failure to find your way to success. And ultimately, when you can get people at a place in their life where they are responding to challenges and viewing them as a gift, you will have an organization that grows year after year after year. You have to be the lighthouse, not the tugboat. Lighthouses and tugboats serve very similar purposes. They both guide boats to safety, but they do it in entirely different ways. Tugboats go out into the ocean and tug huge ships back to the port. They push and they pull and they give their all to bring a boat back to safety. They work so hard to get the boat and themselves back to port that they in turn wear themselves down. Lighthouses shine their light to guide boats to safety. They are rooted and tall. They weather storms. And they guide the boat to port. They are always a beacon. But whether or not the boat chooses to use the light as a guide is up to the boat. It doesn't affect the lighthouse either way. It continues to shine its light and does not wear down in its effort. You will always have peaks and valleys in your life. The key to life is to decrease the distance between those peaks and to decrease the depth of those valleys. Your failures make you relatable. Your failures make you resilient. And I can say confidently to each and every single person in this room, regardless of where you are, I've been there. Every side of the spectrum. I can relate, I can connect with you. It makes you a human. Let me ask you a question. Ben Skemper posed this question to me prior to SC2. We weren't having the summer we wanted. Mentally, I was frustrated. Emotionally, I was frustrated. And he said to me, Brian, what would happen if you lowered your expectations for how things were supposed to go and the results that you were supposed to get and increased the expectation for how you showed up for your people? What would happen if your development candidates embodied that theme? How committed are you to how you show up? A question to ask is, do you have a do it until culture in your organization? Do it until. Do it until you crush it. You know, it's exciting to see an organization that has a branch like Justin Sanders, who did $42,000 and is excited to go out as a DM. Has $5,000 in withholdings, is a strong candidate. Do it until. The third theme is the idea of leading. You know, extending your ability by expanding your team. The adage of reload versus rebuild. You know, in our organization, one of the things that props up our development class, that gives us so many strong candidates, that allows us to operate from a position of strength and abundance, is our Dirty 30 program. You know, how focused are you on that top 25 campaign to date report? What would happen if every single person in the room was hyper-focused on making sure that their number 25 person was over 10K every summer? You know, having a large assistant manager team, 5, 6, 7 plus on staff. One of the keys to reloading versus rebuilding is nailing the transitions. The months of December, April, and August. Another critical portion of this is event-to-event management. How focused are you on making sure that these people get to each and every single event, whether it's an SLDM, a TLA, a team meeting, a phone jam, a workshop, a PC? They miss an event, it's 1 foot out of the business. When I think about leading, I think about identifying talent. Here are some of the things that I look for. Likability. Is this person competitive? Are they enthusiastic? Are they energetic? Are they intelligent? Are they coachable? Are they appreciative? Are they fun? Are they eager to learn? Are they hungry? Retention equals recruiting. So what the stewarding process looks like in my organization non-summer is this. I have either a weekly or a bi-weekly call with every candidate in my organization based on how many candidates we have. And we set these calls up 30 minutes apart. The first portion is building rapport. And after building rapport, I like to pre-frame the conversation and really lay a framework. Hey, John, I want to lay a framework for our conversation today to make sure that we maximize our time. What I would like to do is talk to you about wins and challenges from this past week, walk through some key benchmark topics, talk about the training process, review the calendar, a couple things on what's important now. Let me start by saying, hey, do you have anything on your list that you want to chat with me about? And every conversation sounds like this. It's structured. Talk about wins and challenges, important benchmark topics, things like only and sign-ups, savings, career sales, letter of intent. Key training topics, calendar review, what's important now. Love, appreciation, and vision are absolutely critical. Always schedule the next call before you hang up the one you're on. This cements the next interaction. You know, the other thing that it's critical are just events and divisional TLAs. Getting attendance to that first one is of the utmost importance. We've learned to develop leaders. Relationship building is a key portion of this. A couple of things that I really want to know are, what are these person's core values? You know, mine are faith, gratitude, energy, excellence, loyalty, and integrity. In order for me to invest time and energy into a relationship with someone, whether it be personal or business, these things need to be congruent. What is this person's CVI? What is their love language? I need to know how to appreciate them. Developing leaders and developing this trust truly happens outside the office more than it does inside of the office. It's about having a genuine connection with these people. Do you know their family? Do you know their parents? Expectation creates reality. In the 5 levels of leadership, John Maxwell talks about level 4 leadership being people development or reproduction. He talks about the fact that people follow you because what you have done for them. And it's about being a tough coach. It's not necessarily about telling the person what they want to hear each and every single time. It's about telling them what they need to hear each and every single time. Being firm about things like attendance. You know, when we talk about expectation, the new office expectation is that when we put out a branch or a new DM, that they're going to do $100,000+. And my focus is that making sure that no matter what, each and every single summer, my number one guy is over $200K. What we talked to our branch team about this summer is the idea of 10 by 10 is a home run. 10 by 10 is a home run. And what I mean by that is 10K saved in withholdings at the end of the summer and 10 candidates going into TLA. My goodness, if we can get that done to scale. 10K saved in withholdings and 10 candidates going into TLA. Those are development classes that I get excited about. You know, it's about training for success. Simplicity equals success. I heard from Darren years ago, you know, you don't have to be great at a lot of these things. You just can't suck. And here are the things that you don't have to be great at. You just can't suck at them. Here are what they are. Number 1, Facebook Jumpstart. Number 2, setting PRs. Number 3, conducting an interview. Number 4, a couple of the key training talks, opening comments, making sure that you nail your name collection, creating demos, and running a sales meeting. They don't have to be great, they just can't suck at these things. Facebook Jumpstart, setting PRs, interview, training, creating demos, and a sales meeting. So every single time we're in a TLA or a training event of any sort, every piece of instruction is centered around one of these things. You have to know when to support and when to challenge. One thing that we've found a lot of success in is having a group me in a WhatsApp culture of hot news and competition. And when you begin to scale is when you develop leaders who develop other leaders. This is the difference between deploying 3 or 4 offices or 8 to 10. I define leadership as the ability to develop other leaders. Leadership is defined as the ability to develop other leaders. And leadership is a standard in this organization. Let me tell you something. The knives are a front. The trophies are a facade. As a district manager, your product is not Cutco. Your product is leadership. I don't sell knives. I sell leadership. Converting AMs is one of the ways that we have crushed our office deployment number. Making sure that an assistant manager understands the fact that I'm not having someone as an AM to help me run this business. Whether I have 5 AMs or 1 AM, we're going to do the same amount of business. We're going to get it done. There was a point in time where I only had 1, and we crushed it. So that being said, the AM has to understand that they are on staff. The only reason I have an assistant manager on my AM team is to give them the skill set, the funds, the know-how, the confidence to be a kick-butt branch manager. Because having 5 or 6 or 7 on staff costs me $20,000+ a summer. And I could use that money to fund an investment, but the investment I'd rather make is one that I invest into people. Letters of intent at SC2 is something that we've capitalized on in a big way. Their confidence is high. Their emotion is high. Their income is high. Leveraging the DVM relationship is something that we've succeeded with at a high level as well. Success breeds success. And the key is to build a division within your district. This was our district team at SC1. I was told years ago, Brian, if you want to be promoted, build a division within your district. Clarity is such a key portion of this. A 3 to a 5 year vision where people attach to the why, not to the what or to the how. In conclusion, to become a person of influence and to attract a following here or anywhere else, you must become a lifelong learner. You must overcome obstacles, inspire others to do so, and demand excellence from yourself and everyone working in your organization. You must be a leader by example, not just by title, in every area of your life. And learn to create mystique so that you have the ability to attract and to retain top talent. You must build relationships and commit to identifying best practices for key result areas in this business so that you are delivering proper training to the young leaders developing under your tutelage. And finally, you must teach others these ideas so we can create layers of strong, well-prepared assistants, branches, and new DMs. And so that as a team, we may redefine our standards for new office production as a company. In a time of great change, what makes a great leader? It might sound simple to say that leaders lead, but all too often, organizations find themselves with senior managers who are not fulfilling their responsibilities, such as instilling a sense of purpose and vision in the teams in which should be driving transformation projects forward. Leadership that facilitates transformation requires senior managers to secure buy-in and have the ability to be agile and resilient and to foster these values in their teams. It is not enough for leaders to be technically skilled, important though it is. To be truly effective, leaders need to have a clear vision of the future and the ability to take people with them on this journey. You cannot buy the revolution. You cannot make the revolution. You can only be the revolution. It is in your spirit or it is nowhere. Let's go get them.